I can already hear all the passport bros filing to move to China. China reportedly introduces new divorce law. Wives can no longer claim husband's property after divorce. I don't know that I believe it, but it's an interesting topic that's spreading around. It's going a bit viral as people discuss the way divorce law should be in this country. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, we get it. It sounds nice. Oh, you want to divorce me? Fine. You don't get my stuff. However, this is communism. The reason why China would do something like this is because they want individuals to register all their property individually because they're communists. They don't want families. They don't want community. They want individualism that it can be rigid and controlled. So in the United States, I tell you the actual solution is just get rid of no-fault divorce. Oh boy, the left gets so mad at me for this. What world do they live in? And they're like, but women will be abused. And it's like, women, that's fault divorce. You can divorce. You call the police if you're being beaten. That's not a good thing. But the idea that you would decide to get married and then abruptly be like, I'm over it. Bye. I get you half your stuff. That doesn't work. That's why this subject is getting as much attention as it is. Because a lot of people are just fed up. A lot of young men are saying, dude, I'm going to work and then it's going to be taken from me. I mean, I see these comments about prominent masculists or whatever you want to call it. That's not the right word, but they're like prominent debate bros, conservatives who talk about feminism being bad. I see other comments being like, haha, but you got married. What do they call it? They call it divorce rape is what they call it. That you'll marry a woman and then at some point she's done with you and she'll leave and she gets half your stuff. Well, I think the problem is cultural. You know, I was reading an interesting thing. They say half of all marriage ends in divorce. However, what they often leave out is that 70% of divorces are, it's something like, I could be getting the data wrong, but it's like 70% of divorces are not first marriages, meaning the overwhelming majority of first marriages do not end in divorce. What is it, like 30%? Still high or whatever. So they're going to say China has reportedly enacted a legal change that is sparking widespread discussion. Wives may no longer claim their husband's property after divorce. This is written by Zoe Carls on Medium. The ruling comes from a reinterpretation of China's civil code, which now emphasizes individually registered property over shared marital assets. Communism. They don't want you, like, when you're married, you become a single legal entity. You know what I'm saying? Under the new guideline, assets acquired solely under the husband's name, such as a house bought before the marriage, can remain his after divorce unless formal co-ownership was established. Critics argue the law disadvantages women who contribute indirectly through unpaid labor or childcare. Supporters say it reinforces individual financial responsibility. Either way, the shift marks a turning point in how marriage and divorce are treated under Chinese law. Recent interpretation in China is shaking up the very foundation. Under the updated reading, we get it. If, for example, a husband purchases a home before marriage and registered it solely in his name, the house now remains entirely his after divorce, unless the couple had formally declared joint ownership during marriage. That means contributions made by the wife, financial or otherwise, do not automatically entitle her to a share of the property unless she can prove legal co-ownership. It may sound like a technical shift, but it's profound. In many Chinese marriages, it's common for one spouse, typically the husband, to be the primary financial buyer of assets like homes. At the same time, many wives contribute by managing the household. Same is true here in the United States. In such setups, property may be under one name, but built by two lives. Opponents of the reinterpretation argue this new legal stance overlooks the invisible economy that keeps households functioning, unpaid labor. Cooking, cleaning, raising children, supporting a husband's career, all forms of contribution that often go unrecorded but are deeply valuable. Women's rights advocates are particularly concerned. They point out that women often leave or scale down careers after marriage or childbirth. In doing so, they become more dependent on the spouse's financial resources. In the event of divorce, they may walk away with nothing despite years of sacrifice. It devalues a woman's work in the home. Are we saying that unless I have my name on the house deed, my years of motherhood and support mean nothing? Supporters argue it's about clarity, not control. On the flip side, supporters say the change is about personal accountability. Individuals should be encouraged to protect their own financial interests. Property ownership should be transparent and documented, not assumed. The law encourages couples to formally define asset sharing before problems arise. This is about punishing women. It's about reinforcing the idea that ownership must be declared. I actually agree with that. Like the idea that you could just say you own something without ever having actually filed for something kind of makes no sense. But let's talk about America, ladies and gentlemen, and why men are going their own way. That's what they call MGTOW. You got red pill, you got MGTOW, you got incels, you call it whatever you want. And now you've got a resurgence of faith in Christ. Young people, I tell you this, my friends. Your birthright has been stolen from you, your inheritance stripped, and they've offered you communism in its wake. You were supposed to be at 24 years old owning a house and having 2.5 children. That's how it's always been throughout history. You got kids, you work to protect your family, your kids, to build something great. Some people are more ambitious than others, but many people just want to have the American dream. They took it away. What's happening now in the United States is that they've given your property to illegal immigrants, and they want you to be upset when Trump comes in and deports them. Hey, look, man, you do what you want to do. But there are a lot of young guys that have the same biological drive as humans have had for forever. You want to have a good wife. You dream of it. You want to have kids. And the sad thing is, it is easier for humans, for young men, to replace that sense of, oh man, like the ASMR girlfriend stuff is just so awful, dude. It's so awful. And it's sad, really. But you look at the law, you look at culture, and men are basically saying, nah, not interested. And what does that mean? It means civilization collapses. I was having a talk with a wife last week, and I was complaining that it takes too long to get the job done these days. It takes a long time to start a business, to build something. It took years to build the building we're in. Why? Why can't we just put the wood up? Finding the people. The job, that's the hardest part. Regulation's a problem too. But here's the problem. The reason why it's taking so long to do jobs, the reason why certain businesses are failing, it's literally because they can't find staffers. It's because young men don't need to. That's the scary reality. Kids made the world go round. Now, the joke used to be that sex makes the world go round because guys are just trying to bang ladies. That's technically true, but it was kids. You'd find a wife, she made you happy, you felt fulfilled. You were like, man. Then you had babies and you were like, man, my kids are awesome. I love this. I got to get food for my kids. And you would do anything for your kids. Somebody would come by and say, I got a job for you. We need some guys we're building a shed. It pays it pays $10 an hour. This is back in the day. And you'd be like, that's so little, man. It's like, well, look, take it or leave it. And you're like, I got to get the money. My kids need it. My dad would work 2 jobs. He did construction and he was a firefighter because he was going to put food on the table for us. And that's the lesson that I learned as a kid. That's what men do. You work and you sacrifice for your family so they can have good lives. They can live better. And you raise strong individuals. You raise your daughters to be good moms and good stewards of the earth. And you raise your sons to be warriors who would sacrifice to save those they love. But now what do we have? Men don't have kids because women can just take their stuff. That's how divorce courts favor women and take the kids too. So men are like, even if I have kids, they're going to be taken from me. It's terrifying. And you've got feminists who always want a little bit more. That's what I was saying. I was saying last night on the Uncensored show, or previously this week, I was talking to Myron Gaines. You get it. And I said, I think women are always going to be in a default state of slight unhappiness. I think they have to be. I'm not disparaging women. I'm not trying to insult them. I'm saying men go out and hunt and they find food and resources, or they work and they build and secure the home. So men are driven by goals, by that dopamine hit. Think about it from an evolutionary standpoint. You go back thousands of years. Women are going to be protecting the babies. If there were 2 women, each holding a baby, and one woman says, I am content with just enough. What happens when a heavy rain comes or a snowstorm and they have no resources? She dies. The baby dies. Then there's the woman who says, I am not content just having what I need. I want you to work harder. She tells her husband, I want a man who's going to be working harder because I don't want just to have the bare minimum. Now what happens? A storm comes. And the woman who demands more all the time, she has more food, she doesn't starve, and they survive. That's standard evolutionary pressure. For men, it's not about being happy or sad. This is why women are always going to be looking for something better. to survive. Men are going to be always looking to accomplish the next thing. They're going to be working really, really hard. They're going to be sacrificing because take two men. One guy says, "Oh, I just finished work for the day. I've done exactly what I need to do. I don't need to do any more." Okay, he's got his food for the day. He'll get his food tomorrow. He may actually survive because he's capable of getting his own food. But then winter comes and he's sick and he starves to death. Then you have the other guy who says, "I can't stop. I can't rest. If I don't do this, who will?" And they get a sense of accomplishment from succeeding. So they strive a little bit more and they produce a little bit in excess. This desire from women to always have a little bit more and for men to always produce a little bit more has made humans successful. But in a society of abundance, women are going to get paid $60,000 a year and they're going to say, "I want a man who makes more." That's going to be hard to find, especially when they're demanding job parity, even when they don't negotiate. Men are not going to say, "Even if I do this, you can take my kids. I'll lose in divorce court. The risk is too great. I don't want to. I'll focus on something else." Now it's all crazy. And it's all seemingly falling apart. But men, I tell you what, improve yourself, be strong, build your empire. Carl Benjamin was getting flack because he said, "Guys, stop acting like women. You're in your 20s. Women aren't going to flock to you. Men flock to women in their 20s. Once you're in your 30s, you're going to be in your prime with resources and ability, and then you will find women. You will be that slightly better. You can be that in your 20s. Just start working now." For real. Hey, man, you want to go party, you do your thing. But if you get down right now and do 100 push-ups every single day, your arms will start to improve. Do more than push-ups, but easy thing to do. If you can't even do 10 push-ups right now, let's say you can only do 5. Okay, do 5 push-ups and do it 20 times. Whenever you find yourself with an extra few minutes, just do 5 push-ups. If you can't do 5, do 3. If you can't do 3, do 2. If you can't do 2, you do 1. Start now. Improve yourself, guys. Best of luck out there. It's crazy, huh? It was a wild story. I'll leave it there. Stay tuned. We got more coming up for you throughout the weekend. Thanks for hanging out. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast, and we'll see you all in the next segment.